Hello and welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our national landscape and how these impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, at last, Peter Obi sues the Adeyanju for 1.5 billion naira Onitsha court to hear the defamation case. In the course of the program, we take your questions, but first, subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. It's important to mention that we can only read comments with human names and the ones based on the subject matter. I have joining me via Zoom, the master himself, Babajide Kolade Tutoju. Good to see you, BK.
Good to do this with you, Brian. I say good afternoon to our loyal viewers.
Yeah. Let's set the stage for this juicy Peter Obi versus the Adeyanju defamation showdown. With Obi, who was a 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate, suing activist Deji Adeyanju for 1.5 billion naira over fiery social media claims like political fraud and religious bigots. What's your take on this? How this high stakes case reflects Nigeria's growing trend of politicians using defamation suits to tackle critics?
I am happy as a journalist. I'm excited. I want to see how things pan out. I want to see um, the end of this matter. It is important to see how the courts respond to this particular um, lawsuit. I know that it will not end the court of first instance. I can see that sign already. But what I've always wanted is a situation in which when people slander other people, when people say unprintable things about other people, when people use the social media to damage people's integrity, the victim reserves the right to go to court. And the courts should be able to protect the integrity of individuals. Individuals should be able to get the redress that they need from the courts, through the courts, especially if it is true that their integrity, their professional reputations um, got damaged one way or another. So you can see that these days, people will lie against you and they will dare you to go to court. The reason this is happening is many people believe that given the whimsical nature of our judicial process, even if you go to court, you may not get justice. You may eventually get frustrated by the fact that the proceedings get delayed unnecessarily and you eventually agree to settle out of court. But this shouldn't be the case. Imagine a misguided individual, thoroughly irresponsible individual who claimed that Babatunde Fashola wrote a judgment for the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal. If you were in his shoes, you knew you didn't write a judgment for any court, how would you feel? Because his integrity had been compromised by somebody who just sat down, concocted a story with the desire to do mischief. So I'm interested in seeing how this particular case is resolved. As far as Peter Obi is concerned, he wants a declaration that Adeyanju's statements are defamatory, and he wants an order of the court compelling him to publish a full and unequivocal apology across his social media platforms. He also wants an order of the court compelling the defendant to immediately delete from all the social media platforms those adjectives that he had used to describe Peter Obi, like fraud, scum, political fraud, political prostitute, which Obi is Obi is convinced have done so much damage to his political as well as professional reputation. Apart from that, we've seen Peter Obi make a move that is actually now the major talking point from this lawsuit. His decision to take the case to Onitsha. I'm sure that the Adeyanju was not expecting this, that Obi would file the suit before a court in Anambra State where he was governor. Obi is well within his rights, as far as I'm concerned, to take that decision to sue, to go to Onitsha to sue Adeyanju. The reason I say this is, as far as it's concerned, those posts were on social media. And because they were on social media, people had seen them all over the country and beyond. So, sorry, somebody is calling me.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. Carry on. You're fine.
Yeah, person stop calling me.
Just carry on.
Hello?
Your audio. Yeah, carry on.
So these things happen is when you are on that people will start to know that they have to call you. They didn't call since morning.
You are a public figure. They also want to contribute.
Yes, and I'm saying that as far as Peter Obi is concerned, he's well within his rights to take the matter to Onitsha because it's not like a case filed over a misunderstanding in respect of a contractual agreement. If it was a case filed in respect of a contractual agreement, for example, it can be argued that where that contract was consummated should be it's a court in the place where the contract was consummated that you should actually take the matter to. But once you put something on social media, it can be read all over the world. So and I know that the Adeyanju would challenge the fact that this to challenge the action that Peter Obi has taken in terms of territorial what's it called? He's going to challenge the fact that territorial jurisdiction is going to challenge it. But I don't think we will go far with that because once you put a matter on social media, in fact, Obi can bring witnesses from Onitsha who will say that they read those remarks on social media in Onitsha and that the integrity of the claimant was damaged in their eyes or has been damaged in their eyes as a result of the publication. They may say that they no longer respect him or have regard for him on account of that. People have asked me what will happen. Will the Adeyanju be ready to go to Onitsha to testify, for example? I have to say that usually when a claimant takes a case to a place like this, like Onitsha, as we have seen, rather than Abuja or Lagos, that will be easy for the defendant to access. They do that so that they can take maximum advantage of their environment and to make life difficult for the defendant. Because you have to travel, you have to move lawyers. Every time the case comes up, you have to travel long distances, with your lawyers and all that. And I remember when I was still in the print media, there was a former House of Reps member who sued our publication. My bosses had to beg him and ask for an out of court settlement because he took the matter to Auchi. So they were traveling from Lagos to Auchi every time the case came up. So at the end of the day, they had to settle out of court. I don't know how far this one will go, but I still read, even after Obi indicated a desire to go to court, after Obi asked for a retraction, Deji Adeyanju has continued to attack him on social media, calling him a thief who stole a number of people's money and kept the money in his bank. Well, the die is cast now. Both men have to now focus on the court action, allow the judiciary to determine whether Peter Obi was indeed injured by the remarks that Adeyanju had made repeatedly on social media. One thing is certain: we need a big case, a case involving big personalities. We need to see how such a case is resolved. Maybe it will help calm down some of the people who enjoy lying against other people, who enjoy abusing other people as if our country is not a country of laws. I know that our courts, for example, when I saw 1.5 billion, I just shook my head. Nigerian courts are very conservative when it comes to reparation for a claimant. They are not like British courts, for example, so they don't even get the person who has lost the case to pay so much. They don't. They are very conservative. Yes, you lost the case, but in terms of the damages that you have incurred, they are going to get you. They are going to get you to pay a little sum, far away in terms of size from what the claimant is asking for. So even if Peter Obi wins that case, I do not see the court telling the Adeyanju to pay as much as 1 billion. Our courts are very conservative in terms of the award of costs, in terms of the award of damages. Peter Obi has filed this case. It's a civil case, so it's not like Afebiola versus Farotimi that the federal government instituted a criminal libel suit against Farotimi. There is always the danger that when they get to court, the big man can be embarrassed by some of what will be said in open court and all that. And most people don't like that. And that's why sometimes they simply withdraw this case out of court. I don't know what the Adeyanju's strategies are, but to have repeatedly attacked Peter Obi in the way that he's doing, even after Peter Obi indicated a desire to go to court, even after Peter Obi asked for retraction, asked for apology, looks like somebody who does not regret his actions and is not prepared to stop. Perhaps Peter Obi will get the court to stop him, at least during the pendency of the case, from attacking him the way he's doing. So, that's right. But that's where we are. That's where we are.
So, BK, Adeyanju avoided Obi's meetup attempts post 2023 praises, then went public with bribery rejection claims, framing it as resisting co-optation. And then if you look at, according to judicial stats, they said that Nigerian courts dismissed over 40 political defamation suits in the last decade for lacking malice. How do you think Adeyanju can argue this? I mean, do you think Adeyanju would argue these were protected opinions, not defamatory lies, especially with the fact that he is also a lawyer by himself?
Yes, he's a lawyer, but how much experience has he got as a lawyer? He's basically going to rely on his own lawyers. I don't even think he would go to Onitsha because he doesn't have to go to Onitsha, except his lawyer wants to put him in the dock as well, one of the um, people to take testimonies from. He can actually get other witnesses to come and talk rather than him showing up because people have talked about the threat of violence that in that case, if he goes there to embarrass Peter Obi, to abuse Peter Obi, he could be attacked, his witnesses could be attacked. So um, this will influence the strategy that the defense will use. He has to prove now that Peter Obi has not got any reputation at all to be asking for a pound of skeleton from him over some of his publications, and he can easily point at some of the mistakes that Peter Obi made in the past, um, like so investing the state's funds in a company where he has interest. That one is established. I wonder how he can wriggle out of that. Making the bank where he has interest the official banker of the state, of Anambra State. There are some things that I did in the past that Adeyanju could use to argue that he's not trustworthy, he doesn't have integrity and all that. But he has to prove that the things that he said about him were not based on malice, and he's going to call witnesses, you know, and probably just um, wait for Peter Obi's witnesses to talk in court, to give their testimonies, and look for a chink in the armor, look for some mistakes that they can capitalize on. This is usually how libel cases are won and lost.
Right.
For example, if if a witness, if a Peter Obi witness goes before the court and says, look, after those publications, I have lost regard for him. He no longer has my trust. This and that. I no longer trust him as a leader. This and that. And they ask the question. And in answering that question, he mistakenly says that in spite of everything, he still has regard for him. He still has respect for him. Whatever testimony he has given will be kind of rubbished, and that could actually damage the case. So I think just as we've seen great lawyers like Gani do in the past, this whole thing will be decided by solid cross-examination, which could lead to mistakes on the part of witnesses and all that. And who knows, such mistakes will eventually determine the outcome. But Peter Obi, since he has political ambition, he just felt that he had to respond to what Adeyanju was doing. When that audio was leaked in 2023, Peter Obi threatened to take the publication to court, the Yes Daddy audio, but he didn't eventually go to court because he knew that he was the one in that audio. He knew that it was his voice. And some checks were run to determine whether it was a deep fake, and the result of those tests pointed to the fact that it was Peter Obi speaking in the audio. So he didn't bother to go to court. Many had expected that he would simply not go to court on this matter, but he felt that, look, he had to find a way to stop Deji from constantly attacking him, discrediting him the way he's been doing. So Adeyanju has to prove that everything that he said about Peter Obi
right.
is true. Is true in every material.
That's right. Let me take some comments. We'll have them coming in. Chinedu Okafor says, finally, words have consequences. You can't just wake up and smear someone's name because you want engagement. Obi has been too calm for too long. Mariam Yusuf says, if Deji has proof, let him show it in court. If not, 1.5 billion naira will teach him that freedom of speech isn't freedom to defame. Bakare Ahmed says, so politicians can talk anyhow about citizens, but can't handle criticism, defamation, or intimidation. Let's see. Sarah Okon says, Deji only said what millions are thinking. Suing him won't erase people's opinions. Ifeanyi Wonsu says, 1.5 billion naira for talking on social media. Is that defamation or an attempt to silence activism? Ngozi Eze says, good move by Obi. When you keep quiet, they say you are weak. When you take action, they call it oppression. You can't win. You can't win with some people. Barrister Aisha Abdulhakim, it's good that we have a barrister. Let's separate emotions from law. The key question, did Deji make false statements presented as facts that damaged Obi's reputation? If yes, Obi has a case. If not, it's fair comment. I agree with BKO. Emmanuel Okpara says, defamation law in Nigeria needs serious reform. Most people don't even know what crosses the line between opinion and libel. Let me take this last one before I ask my last question. Sheil Lawal says, 1.5 billion naira, even Dangote go fear. If Deji loses, he better start GoFundMe tonight. Interesting. All right. So, BKO, looking at all these issues, I guess the fallout between Deji, or let's say Deji actually fell out of his support for Obi, maybe because of the attacks by the obedience. Because it looks like anyone who had one way or the other criticized Peter Obi, or maybe had fallen out, with him, the obedience will always come for the person and see the person as the betrayer, as evil, as anti-Obi movement, etc. How do you think Obi can, rein in his supporters to ensure that they do not go after people who, one way or the other supported Obi, and then in their own rightful mind decide like, yes, we are not supporting you, so much so that they can take fair criticism as against being anti-Obi's movement?
Yes, these days people are not interested in a healthy argument. It is their way or the highway. You either agree with them or they come for you. And I've seen, even me, despite look at the matter of Nnamdi Kanu, you know how many times I've demanded that Nnamdi Kanu should be freed, that his matter should be treated, that there should be a negotiated settlement of his matter. I still see people from the Southeast, most likely obedient, who call me a tribalist, despite the fact that I hold a high chieftaincy title from the Southeast, something that I didn't lobby for. Where I was sat, they called me from the source of the Igbo race. I got that chieftaincy title, but some of them still call me tribalist. Once you disagree with Peter Obi, they will attack you, and they are inviting hatred for Peter Obi by that irresponsible conduct of theirs. Even Soyinka too has had to complain about them. People should be able to disagree with a candidate. you disagree with a candidate, it does not mean that they hate that candidate, and you shouldn't them be calling them tribalists or idiots because they do not agree with you. So this is the mistake that our friends, the obedience, are making, and is a lot of people are embarrassed by this kind of conduct. They shouldn't attack people just because they disagree with Peter Obi. So Peter Obi has never really tried to caution them or tell them, gentlemen, we are one people. Let's let's tolerate criticism, especially if the criticism not really um, um, uh, born out of envy or jealousy or animosity. People will be criticized in the public space, but to turn against people, calling them names, calling them bastards, and all that, it's not right. If Peter Obi becomes president today, he will be the president of everybody, and he will be criticized. So you cannot be abusing people just because they disagree with a man that you all respect. So more and more people are turning against Peter Obi because of the attitude of his supporters. But he still doesn't, in my view, justify calling him the leader of a mob and other unprintable things that Adeyanju has called him. And if you think that you have not done anything wrong by saying all those things, then you go and prove it in court. Many of us will have received a stick from these people. Some of them lying against me. Somebody lied against me that Yabelo bought a jeep for me. You know, thank God, my life is like an open book. People see me. I don't even drive in tinted vehicles. People can see me inside my car. They know the car that I drive. I drive around town. But they claim that he gave me a jeep so that I'll stop criticizing him. But despite promoting my dad to a first-class traditional ruler, it is on record that I said on Journalist Hangout that I'll be very happy if he's put on trial, if he's arrested and put on trial. He's there on YouTube, you know. But people don't know these things. They'll still call you names, they'll call you all kinds of things, all kinds of names. So the point that I'm making is we shouldn't just freely hurl insults at people, especially when we disagree with them, as we have seen now. People must know that the courts are there for people to seek redress once they are unnecessarily abused, insulted, lied against. They've destroyed many families with fake news, and so there has to be a way to check people, especially the cyberspace. There has to be a way. I'm not saying the government should come up with laws to deal with new laws to deal with people who misbehave on social media. But I'm saying that our people should check themselves. They shouldn't just be abusing people as if nothing will happen, even if they lie against people, like the man who lied against Fashola. You know, they shouldn't be doing that. They should realize that there are courts, and the courts are there to listen to people who have complaints about the way they've been badly treated on social media.
That's right. That's right. Blessing Chuku says, imagine if Twitter fingers now come with court summons. Now who go still tweet again? Judy May says, I just said, thank God. God, I only gossip inside WhatsApp groups. No defamation lawsuit for me. Adaize Chuku says, it's funny how Nigerians want accountability until it involves someone they like. Principles should be consistent, not partisan. Prince Olatunde says, at this rate, we may need a fact check court for every viral tweet. Halima Garba says, BKO, thank you always for all your beautiful analysis. This is very good. Okay, Vicky, because of our time, we really have to out of time. But I don't know whether you can quickly just in less than a minute, answer this question. Given the stakes, do you see a role for settlement or mediation behind the scenes, especially prior to full trial? Very quickly.
Yes, man, I see that happening. I see that happening. You see, the big problem is people's ego. For example, I never knew that Baba Febiola could be convinced to not take to not allow Rotimi's matter to go on. But big traditional rulers, they intervened. They knew that the young man could end up in jail. The Oni and other people intervened, and he too slowed down. You can see that he slowed down. He's not been abusing the man since then. He slowed down. So I see the possibility of this case um, even not going up to trial if certain people step in and conditions are outlined and implemented. For example, if Adeyanju will stop abusing Peter Obi will be happy to let it go. There's really not much that he can gain from a lawsuit like this because it could even further do damage to the political as well as professional. So
That's right.
if it is best left out of the court, so if they can, uh, if they don't close their minds,
Yeah,
both men will eventually come to some resolution.
that's right. That's right. Well, beautifully
With some
put.
people working behind the scenes to
Yeah,
ensure that.
yeah. That's right. That's right, Big Hill.
Okay,
That's our show.
Brian.
There, that's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Baba Jide Kolade Tutoju, for those insightful analysis as always.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you to our viewers. And thank you, the Deji, today. We didn't have the kind of uh,
Glitch.
hiccups we had yesterday. So, yes,
That's right.
no technical glitch today. It just went smoothly.
That's right.
Um,
That's right. Yeah,
we
always
thank God
thank
for
you.
that.
Right. Thank you to our audience for keeping our company in every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG. I'm also at Ibrahim_Shita. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.